Let's go to it. Gillean, welcome to Media Savvy.
Oh my goodness, Bonnie, this is such a full circle moment. Like hearing you say that it's so, a lot of times we don't look back and celebrate all that we've done. And just I remember sitting in my corporate job and I had to go to like a meeting room so people couldn't hear me so I could do my calls with you. And I remember like it took me back to that place where I was like, I know I'm meant to do something else, but I still am like figuring it all out. And you were so pivotal in helping me take those steps.
I really remember that too. And I remember you sitting there like almost whispering because you didn't want them to hear you talking. But it's like, okay, listen, you can't work full time when you want to do this stuff. Like you had such a goal to do more. But I loved seeing that transition. So, as I mentioned, you went from full-time to part-time to building your own media-focused business. So what was the pivotal moment that made you realize that this was the right move for you? Well, hey there. Welcome to Media Savvy, the podcast that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to get noticed by media and become the go-to expert that they keep coming back to. I'll be sitting down with successful writers, producers, and entrepreneurs to learn the tools and tactics they use to build their reputation and in turn boost their business. I'm your host, Bonnie Taub-Dix, and I've been working with top-tier media outlets for more than 30 years, anywhere from traditional print publications to online and social platforms. And I'm sharing my nutrition guidance without gimmicks. But you don't have to be a dietitian for this podcast to speak to you. Through my one-to-one conversations, you'll learn how to build a strategy to get your name in the news and establish yourself as an authority in your field, no matter what the industry. With Media Savvy, I'm on a mission to inspire, motivate, and empower you to have the confidence and tools you need to shine in the spotlight. Are you ready? Let's get Media Savvy. Well, hey there, my Media Savvy friends. I'm your host, Bonnie Taub-Dix. Welcome back if you've hung out with us before, and if you're new, I'm so happy you're here. Today's guest is someone I'm incredibly proud of, not just for the amazing work she's doing now, but how far she's come since the early days of her media journey. Gillean Barkyoumb is a registered dietitian, entrepreneur, mom of 3, and now a rising voice in the media world. When I first met Gillean, she was working full-time and feeling the tug of something more. I think we all know what that feels like. Something that allowed her to tap into her creativity, make a bigger impact, and build a business on her own terms. She reached out to me for media coaching, and we worked closely together to develop a strategy to help her go from full-time to part-time and eventually take the leap into full-time entrepreneurship. Watching her grow from our first one-to-one sessions to seeing her own voice in the media has been such a rewarding experience for me. Gillean took the tools we worked on together and ran with them in the best way possible. She's living proof that the right support and a whole lot of guts can create a career that you love. In today's episode, we're talking all about the transition, the behind the scenes of building a brand while raising 3 kids. And I personally know what that could look like, and how she's helping other moms simplify dinner with her dinner club. So if you've ever dreamed of pivoting your career or wondering whether media might be the right next step for you, this conversation is going to light a fire under you. Let's go to it. Gillean, welcome to Media Savvy.
Oh my goodness, Bonnie, this is such a full circle moment. Like hearing you say that it's so, a lot of times we don't look back and celebrate all that we've done. And just I remember sitting in my corporate job and I had to go to like a meeting room so people couldn't hear me so I could do my calls with you. And I remember like it took me back to that place where I was like, I know I'm meant to do something else, but I still am like figuring it all out. And you were so pivotal in helping me take those steps.
I really remember that too. And I remember you sitting there like almost whispering because you didn't want them to hear you talking. But it's like, okay, listen, you can't work full time when you want to do this stuff. Like you had such a goal to do more. But I loved seeing that transition. So, as I mentioned, you went from full time to part time to building your own media focused business. So what was the pivotal moment that made you realize that this was the right move for you?
Well, as a dietitian, it's like, are you doing clinical or food service? That was kind of like what was put in my path when I was studying in college. And neither one of those really felt like the right fit for me. But I wasn't sure what it was. I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But I remember going to a couple different conferences and events, like I'm in Arizona. So it was the local dietetics association here, and seeing people speaking on stage that were in, at the time it was just called communications. Like the term media dietitian, I don't feel like was really used. It was just a dietitian doing communications work. And I remember just sitting there and just like, oh, that's it. That's what I want to do so badly. Like I want to do the TV, the writing, the working with the brands, the partnerships, things like that. And even like when I first thought of it, like social media wasn't really that big. So it wasn't like doing a lot of like social media work. It was more TV was what really attracted me. So I knew I had this interest, but I wasn't sure how to get there. There's no textbook. There was no, in school, it wasn't like, if you want to do communications work, this is how you do it. So I had my full-time job and I started just dabbling on the side with TV and investing in mentors like you of like, how do I do this? What are these first steps? And so I did TV for probably 2 years on the side of my corporate job. I'd go in on early Saturday mornings. I did not get paid for it. I had no idea how any of the brand partnership stuff worked, but I just really loved doing it. And so that's where I kind of got a taste of it. And as, time went on, I just more and more just was like, I am so craving being an entrepreneur. Having kids too, it was like your plate gets super full. So it's like, I need the flexibility and to be able to build my own time frame for when I want to work. So there were a lot of things that really added up, but I think what finally pushed me into entrepreneurship full time was there were a lot of changes at my corporate job that I actually really, really loved and had a ton of, they let me do so many things. They let me speak on stage. I learned how to use the teleprompter. They would sponsor me to go to events that I wanted to go to. So I really, really loved it. But there were a lot of, changes with the leadership. And it was almost just like the universe was like, Gillean, like, do it. What are you, it like pushed me out. It was like, I had to get out of there. So, that was like, I really jumped into, I quit. I had a consulting job that was a smaller compensation. So I wasn't going to be making like near my salary that I had at my job, but it was at least a first step. And the crazy thing is I did that. I left my job in January 2020. I was like, I'm going to have a month off where I'm just going to like organize every closet in my house and just relax. And,
a month off,
get everything set. A month off, And I literally remember like sitting down at my computer, like, okay, let's get to work. And then COVID, pandemic. My kids are all home with me. It was just a total chaos time, as everyone knows, and a lot of unknowns. But I powered through. I really used my network and relationships to find opportunities. But I think that was like what really pushed me is I had this drive and passion. And then it was just, you got to figure it out. It kind of threw me into the fire.
Well, I think one of the things that really impressed me is that you were not afraid to spend money and to have one-to-one sessions with me. And before you actually were ready to leave. And I think that that's a mistake that a lot of people make is that they feel like, okay, I'm done. I have to do something now. But really it's the buildup of it and the desire to do it and seeing what other people are doing without considering them to be competition, but instead considering them to be teachers where we're actually learning from them. And then you could also learn the things that you want to do and that you don't want to do. But also something that was so different that you did is I find that so many of the people that I teach, whether they're dietitians or not, that they hesitate to pursue this career because of self-doubt, because of a lack of confidence. So what would you say to other people, other RDs especially, that are on the fence, especially in trying to balance work responsibilities with family obligations and that fear?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The fear, it never goes away. Like there's always, even when you think you reach a certain pinnacle, there's always fears around like what you want to do next or things might change, that imposter syndrome, right? There's always people that you're looking up to and you're like, ooh, can I do this? I don't know. Like I still struggle with that. It never really goes away. But I think, in the end, when I get really quiet with myself, like I know, like I love to do one of my favorite like meditations or even journaling is my future self. And just dreaming up what she looks like and what she's doing. And when I really sit with that, it's like, I already know, like in my gut, I already know what I'm doing is the right path. So it helps kind of quell all those fears and doubts. And I think one of the biggest things that can really hold people back is comparison. And, that social media really is that devil there where we're seeing other people doing things. And I will totally catch myself scrolling or looking at what someone's doing. Like, oh, I really want that. Like I have those feelings of jealousy. And what I have learned to do is whenever I get that feeling, I kind of catch myself and I'm like, ooh, I want to change this thought into inspiration versus jealousy. And that it changes your whole dynamic of being fearful and lack and not being able to do it, to be inspired and motivated. And like, what action can I take today to get towards that goal and step towards something that I'm seeing out there. And something so cool about when you see people doing what you want to do is they're proving to you that it's possible, right? Like these dreams that you have are possible. So I think a lot of times for me, when I have those doubts and fears, it's about getting quiet with myself, focusing inward versus looking outward. And then really the biggest thing, I love having coaches, mentors. I'm in a mastermind group right now. I just wholeheartedly believe in that, because those calls and those connections, those are the people that are going to pull you back into really feeling confident and knowing what those goals and dreams are, so that you just don't spiral on your own. It's so easy to just get stuck in our heads and get lost in it. Whereas if we have coaches, mentors, a community around us to remind us why we're doing what we're doing, it helps you stay on track versus getting lost in the fear.
So true. So true. I have so much to say about so many of the things that you just said, but I just gave a presentation this weekend at Today's Dietitian, and it was in front of a few hundred people, and it was a topic. It was actually called How to Ditch Dietitian Dissatisfaction and Make the Most of Your Career. And I've never heard anybody speak on this before. So not only was it for a big audience and your peers, so you always assume there's somebody in the audience or many people in the audience who know so much more than you, and yet you're talking to them. But it also was something that I never heard before. So it was the first time that I was speaking about this. And for some reason this time, I usually have so much imposter syndrome, believe it or not. So like you're right, it doesn't go away. Although sometimes I actually can't tell the difference between anxiety and excitement. But it was just knowing that I was prepared, and it was knowing that I really wanted to talk about this with this group. And I think that that's the difference. That's what helps me with confidence, is being prepared, knowing that I know what I want to say, and also knowing that what I have to say is valuable to that particular audience.
Yeah, I honestly, when I saw you were doing that talk, I was like really sad that I wasn't going to be there, because I really in fact, you should join one of our business bestie calls if you ever want to come, because I think that message to get across is so, so important. And, I think again, a lot of times we have these expectations that we think what our career has to look like. In fact, I was just at a happy hour last night with some Arizona dietitians who are in clinical and private practice. And they were just sharing a lot of the insurance issues and patient issues and all this stuff. And I remember I was sitting there and I was like, hey, have you guys ever heard of media work? Because, a lot of these things that we get stuck in and get dissatisfied with, we get to choose what happens. We have so much power in changing and building out our career the way that we want. And I think a lot of times we just feel like we're stuck in a cage. But if we really, again, look inward and have these types of discussions, I have to hear what you talked about, because it's so, so important for us to not feel like we have to just follow the same track as everyone else.
Oh, sure. And one of the things that I said, and it's funny that you brought this up, but one of the things that I said to my audience is that you don't have to call yourself a media dietitian. That is a made up name. There's no course that you take to become a media dietitian. You could just go out, do a quote in an article, and you're a media dietitian. So anybody could really call themselves that. You don't have to have a whole, litany of courses and experience and all that kind of stuff. So I think that it really is interesting that a lot of people are afraid that they're not qualified. But the fact is that dietitians are already ready. They already have the knowledge. They just need the courage to get out there and let their messages be heard. But you mentioned social media, and media is always evolving, especially social media. So how do you in particular stay relevant and stay true to yourself and true to your own brand when there is so much competition? I mean, is it that, I think what you said is really true. You have to talk to yourself, right?
Yeah, you have to really close out the noise. One of my words for this year was blinders, because you can just always start to look at what everyone else is doing. But I was like, I just want to put my blinders on. There is some again, you can get inspired and motivated and get ideas, but you always I have to bring it back to what my goal is and what works for me, what really feels aligned versus what everyone else is doing. So I think with social media, it's a lot of sticking to, for me, I'm a strategy plan girl, right? So when I get lost is when I try to just throw stuff out there and I feel frazzled. So if I really have a plan for what my involvement is on social media, what content I'm going to be posting, it helps me stay very true to that versus feeling like I have to do what everyone else is doing. So yeah. I have a great team around me. I invest, I delegate stuff out. Again, like you said, I'm a mom of 3. So today was backwards day at school. There's like the end of school parties. There's like teacher appreciation. There's 5 million things going on, right? So I think having it like a plan, a strategy, and then having a team of people that you can delegate stuff out to really helps you stay on track versus getting distracted by all the other noise out there.
Well, funny. So just switching gears, about 2 weeks ago, we were all watching some old videos. And there I was filming my 3 boys after they got home from school. They were playing in the backyard. And I remember how I felt that day. Like they thought everything was all rosy. But I remember that I still had some clients to see that day. I had to finish a story. I was going to make dinner that night. And then, of course, there's reading and bath time. And I know we both share those experiences of raising 3 kids while also growing our careers. So just trying to keep all the plates spinning between family and work, really feeling stretched, but giving it our best. So how do you manage juggling the business of family without also losing your sanity?
Yes. Oh my goodness. A couple things. Well, number one, like asking for help. Like for example, this morning, again, we had all this stuff going on with school. I had this podcast with you. I have a couple other appointments today. And I was like, hey, Eric, usually we divide and conquer. Like he takes Cooper to daycare and I take the 2 girls to their elementary school. And I was like, hey, can you just take all the kids to school today? Like, I just need the extra 30 minutes this morning to like get the laundry moving, take a shower, like just get prepped for the day, And so I think asking for help is so, so important. We're also super lucky that we have family that live by. So both my parents and Eric's parents live by. So, and still it is sometimes hard. Like I feel like, hey, like you guys were just here watching the kids last week, but I have like this meeting and Eric has a meeting this night. Can you come over and watch the kids at night? So it's really just like a lot of support and you can't do it on your own for sure. But besides that, I would say to keep on track with stuff. I mean, I live by my calendar. My calendar is just like my Bible because there's so many things going on. So I would lose track of things. I schedule my workouts in there. I schedule doctor's appointments. I'll even just block off time for projects, like email this person. I'll put it for 30 minutes. Like I got to get this done. So I'll just use my schedule to really stay on track of all that stuff. And then I have it blocked out from, 2:30 to 5. It's school pickup and dance and basketball and all those things. So that's super, like my calendar is such a Bible for me. And then I would say the last thing is just really finding like systems and processes. So actually in like 30 minutes, we actually used to work together. She was the executive assistant for one of my bosses. And she reached out to me a few years ago and was like, hey, I think you need a personal assistant. And I was like, that sounds dreamy. I definitely can't afford you. Like, no way. Like, that sounds amazing, but that couldn't work. And maybe like a year ago, I was at a retreat from a mastermind. So see, you're getting involved, you get the ideas. And I was like, I wonder if she would just come like one day a week, not necessarily for work stuff, but for all like household things, just whatever I need. So she's coming today and I have a list on the counter of washing the kids' bed sheets, Amazon returns, picking up 2 pots of flowers for my mom and my mother-in-law for Mother's Day, emptying the dishwasher, like literally just whatever, like pick up the dry cleaning, like all that stuff. So having her where I keep a note on my phone throughout the week of like stuff that I like need to get done. I'm like, ooh, I could go run and do this in 5 minutes, but maybe I should just like put it on the list for Dina to do on Friday. And so that system of just like putting stuff on the side for her has been so, so key and essential at this season in my life. It's just, as you know, there's so much going on, but that really helps.
I'd rather have someone doing all those other things, the sheets, that sounds like It's more fun. I'd rather do my own work, but yes, I know,
Same.
I had assistants for years, these virtual assistants, and really just for social media and just for the tech, because I always wrote my own content, but I really didn't want to have to do the whole, like the designs on Canva and all that kind of stuff. So it seemed like so much pressure that, okay, we have to get 30 days of content. And at that time, everybody was talking about a content calendar and how you have to work ahead and batch filming and all this stuff. And yes, I do believe that those things could be very helpful, but it was such a huge amount of pressure for me. It didn't feel like creativity. It just felt like a job. And then my last assistant had to go back to school. And after that, I didn't hire anyone. And I have been having such a good time since, because if I want to post, I post. If I don't, I don't. I love to paint and draw, so I love creativity. So I just started to learn Canva, and I'm really enjoying doing graphics on Canva. And I don't care who likes it, who doesn't like it, whatever. I'm actually finally having a good time with this stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Social media I have such a like it's a blessing and a curse. I feel like like you, I enjoy the creativity. I love coming up with the ideas. Probably the last year, I've really focused on two main things. I do my cool mom points recipes and then mom hacks. So having just that like defined thing it makes it easy for me when I'm just like thinking of content is just like those two things. And then if there's something fun I want to throw in there, I will too. But I love coming up with the ideas. I absolutely hate editing reels. It's just so awful. If I do it, I like have to be like, okay, I need to make this. This is our friend DJ Blattner. No, she's like, if you're gonna do something, make it as joyful as possible. So like, if I'm gonna sit down and edit some reels, I'm gonna have a yummy cup of coffee, light a candle, and just like put some good music on because I just hate doing it. But I that's one of the things I delegated out is social media. So I do have a gal that comes. We plan out content for the month. So we do batch it. We plan out content for the entire month. She comes one day a month and we spend the entire day, usually like 4 or 5 hours, and we just power through reels. I mean, we're just like doing it one thing after another. My kitchen is a disaster because we're doing a lot of recipes, right? So we film as much as we can. She films it all, which is so nice having someone else, do the camera angles and everything. Oh, it's so nice. It takes so much time out of it. And then she has a girl on her team that edits everything. So they upload everything. And so after we get together, I'll go in Dropbox and I can see like 15 reels that we just did. So that has been really, really helpful. But it does, just like you, sometimes it does get a little robotic. Like it's a task that you have to get done. But what the cool thing is when I have those, like those are kind of like the foundation. And then I can have fun, like play and create ones on my own that are just like, ooh, this sounds fun to do today. Like this is a kind of a fun trend to put together. So it does allow me to just have a little more flexibility, knowing that, okay, the base work is done. Now I can play over here a little bit.
Were you ever concerned about like the money that these things cost, like to have someone do this kind of stuff for you or to invest in the course? Like, have you found that because they're doing this and it takes the load off of you, then you could go on to get, let's say, brand work, whatever. So it's really paid off in the long run?
Oh, totally. I mean, you have to again, different seasons of your life. So when I was looking at like how much time I was spending on social media, right? When you got to get the idea and then you got to create the content and then write the caption and then post it and then share it, do the engagement. I was just like, this is such a time suck. Like this is the thing that is taking me the most time when I could be, writing a pitch right now or, having a meeting with a brand or something like that. So it definitely is one of those things that you have to, I mean, I pay her well. It's not like an intern or something, she's like she's an expert in the space. She has multiple clients. So, but for me, it's just like, I like to find my people that are so good at what they do. I trust them 1,000%. And it's just like, my friend that's a stylist, I'm like, just give me a link for whatever I should wear tonight to that party or whatever. Like, just send me a link. I'll wear it. Like, I'm not going to like criticize it. I'm not going to say I don't like it. I will just put it on because I trust her. So, like my facial girl that I go to for facials, I'm like, what do I need? Like, you tell me. Like, she's like, do you want a hydrofacial or like microneedling? I don't know. What do you think I need? Like, you're the expert here. So it is like investing in those things can be like, it's definitely something that I am thoughtful about. I don't just throw money around. I actually have a bookkeeper who is probably my favorite investment because she really keeps me on track and we discuss everything together. So I'm like, what do you think about investing in this? And she'll say, okay, well, let's talk about that. And it's really helpful to make those decisions on what to invest in. But I think in the end, whether it's will save me time, that's like a total plus. And then investing in like a mentor or like paying to go to an event or something, it's really a gut check for me. And I'll just like, know this is where I'm supposed to be. And I remember having conversations with Eric. Like now he knows when I'm like going to invest in, like have a coach. He's like, whatever. Like he doesn't have it. There's no conversation. He's like, go for it. Cause he's like, you got it. But I remember my first mentorship that I wanted to do, it was $7,000 and I had just left my corporate job. And so there was a lot of instability, right? Like we weren't really sure what was going to happen. And at first I told the gal that was the mentor, I told her no. I was like, I don't know. I talked it over with Eric and like, it's a lot of money. I don't think it's right for me. And then I just knew in my gut, it was just pulling me. And finally I just like went to Eric and like, I really think I am supposed to do this. Like and he was like, okay, like just go ahead and do it, whatever. And like from that one mentor and investing in people like you, right? You get exponentially where you want to be so much faster. And so again, now he's just like, oh, you want to like do this mastermind? Go for it. Like there's not even a discussion because in the end, that pays off. It saves you time. It gets you where you want to be so much faster. And it's enjoyable. Like you grow, and I love personal development. So it fills my cup too.
Yeah, well, I think that growing is so much of a part of it. And that's one of the things that I talked about this weekend is that it's not just a matter of, liking your job. It's having growth at your job. It's feeling like you really have learned. And a lot of people in our profession are clinical dietitians. And I hate to say, like I put this survey, I did the survey, and the majority of people that I surveyed are unhappy being a clinical dietitian. But when I talked about growth, I talked about when I was assistant chief dietitian at the hospital, I grew because I went on all the grand rounds with the doctors and learned about medical conditions, which helped me in my private practice. The doctors that I met at the hospital referred patients to me, which helped me in my private practice. And I loved working with different disciplines, but I never had a desire to be the chief dietitian. So I never had any desire to grow in that job, but I grew so much personally, professionally, and financially because, I just made it my own. So I think that when it comes to growth and personal fulfillment, it certainly sounds like you've checked a lot of boxes, whether it's, your team or just things that you push yourself to do. But I think that it's so important. You can't wait for opportunity to knock at your door because, unless your door is really open, who's coming to you? You have to make it happen yourself. So I agree.
Yeah. I actually was just listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were saying how, you can get inspired and see these things, but one of the biggest things people lack is the discipline. Because it's not easy, right? Like you can get inspired. You can I like what this coach is doing, or I'm really inspired by this fellow dietitian, but then you have to do the work. Like it doesn't just like you said, like you have to go out there and find those opportunities. And, I'm going to butcher, but DJ had a great quote that she said on a call recently where, like opportunities arise when you're doing the work enthusiastically. So even if like, what you're working on is not the opportunity, but just having that energy and that mindset, things start to come to you and you're like, ooh, this is cool. Like I didn't even realize that was a thing that I could be on this advisory board, and they reached out to me. So I think you're right. And you have to have the discipline to do the work for the opportunities to start coming to you too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And, I think it's just doing something. It's just that you could have your plan. Seems like you have a lot of strategies and plans for the future. But for some people, that actually feels overwhelming because it's just too much. I'm never going to do that. But if you just pick one thing that's really feasible, send out that pitch letter, read that book you've wanted to read, take a course you wanted to take. Even if you take a course in food photography because you didn't know about that, but then all of a sudden you're doing social media posts with hand in pan videos, or you could do recipe development for a brand. You never know what that one spark leads to and could really light your fire for a totally different area of the profession.
Exactly. And that's how that's where I started. I started just doing one thing, and then now I'm built into again, like you mentioned, kind of being more strategic and having some plans and goals. But when you get started, you're right. You have to if you do that one thing and you see that you achieved it and you have growth there, it gives you the confidence to try all the other things too.
Yeah. So the question I had for you is you've experienced working alone and then also collaborating with a partner. Mm-hmm. So how do you balance exploring your own interests while also working collectively? And what are the benefits and challenges that you've seen with working with someone else?
Yeah, I honestly have absolutely loved it. It was exactly what I needed because like you said, for so long, when you're a solo entrepreneur, even though I have, I would say a team of people that I contract out for different things, you're the one that is doing everything. You're the head of it. You're making the decisions, deciding what your next steps are. But it's been so nice to work with someone else, my business partner, Kristen, because it's not all on you. You have someone else to have these conversations with that are totally in there and get it, versus me talking to Eric or something. And he's supportive, but he just isn't in the day to day, he doesn't see what's actually going on. And so even just having okay, we want to launch a project, or we want to do a call. There's obviously tasks that you have to do to get that done. And so being able to divide and conquer and really know our strengths. So our business expert with influence helps with media training of dietitians. And we realize I'm kind of we say oh, Gillean's kind of more the CEO vibes and Kristen's the COO vibes. She will get tasks done immediately. We talk about it on a call, and then 5 seconds later, I see an email come through with she's doing it. And that's not me. I'm I will have the big visions and the ideas, and then I will write the things down to get done like later. So
Yeah, that's more me.
yeah. And so it's been great to like figure out our strengths and what we're really good at. Like, for example, she'll do all the meeting invites. She has all the Zoom links and does all, like, we'll post the recorded calls. Like that stresses me out. Like, I don't want to do all those like tasks, but she's very task oriented. And I will come up like, hey, we want to do a retreat. Let's talk about, like, I have a full itinerary already planned out in 5 seconds. Like, I'm like, I know what we're doing at this retreat. Right. So I think, being, solo entrepreneur is amazing because you get to call the shots, but you're also doing it by yourself. And then having a partner is amazing because it's not just by yourself, but we for sure have times where we have different opinions on how we should handle something. And so you have to come to a conclusion together. We just had something actually this week where I was like, I think we should do this. And she's like, I think we should do this. And I was like, I see your perspective. Let's try the way that you think. And then we'll go from there. And it was the right decision. Like, in the end, it was perfect for us. So you do have to really have someone that you can have those productive conversations with, and that you work well with. Like, I'm so lucky that we both like get along so beautifully and are friends. And I think we handle any challenges we have like really lovingly and thoughtfully. And so, but we also are open to having those conversations where we're like, this isn't working anymore, or that doesn't really feel good to me. Like, we can say that to each other, and it's not like a defensive mode. So finding the right partner, I think, is probably the most important thing if you do a partnership.
Like a marriage.
Yep, exactly.
Really important, based upon compromise. And I think that, having that blend, I did a show with Liz Ward and Hillary Wright. And they've been very good friends for decades, and they're also partners in a lot of the work that they collaborate on. And I think that show showed also a lot of the pros and cons in working together. But it is nice to have someone to bounce your ideas off of. I know, like, my husband, who is also my attorney, he helps me a lot with my work. But it really is nice also having someone who's actually doing what you're doing to be able to collaborate together. So I totally agree with you. So looking back on your journey, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self before the media appearances, before the dinner club, before all that kind of stuff, what would that be?
I would tell myself that everything is always working out for you. Like, every experience, like any fears you have, like, power through it, because no matter what, it's going to work out for you. I truly believe that. I'm a big energy, woo-woo universe kind of gal. And I just have seen that so many times in my life, where even if something feels like it's like heavy or hard, or I'm scared to do it, if that's not the right thing, it'll lead me to the next thing. So I think we talked a lot about that imposter syndrome or that fear. And again, that's a centering thing where you just believe, okay, everything is always working out for me, so I'm going to do it anyways. And whatever the outcome is, it's going to be beneficial to me. So I would tell myself that, to have more confidence taking those first steps and making those decisions and getting there faster. I think that was probably the biggest thing. Is there's some seasons of my life that I can look back and think, ooh, like, I probably could have like jumped into that and got to where I want to be quicker, but I was holding myself back or fearful about it. But if I knew, like, isn't that kind of crazy to think about? Like, if you just trust, like, it's all going to work out for you, it's like, it makes you feel like, okay, I can do this. Like, why am I going to be scared of it? Like, if you met some like crazy, like, psychic down the road, and they were like, hey, just so you know, I saw your future. It all works out. It's beautiful. It's amazing. You get all the things you want. Like, you would act so differently every single day. Right. So that has just been stuck. That's something that I've learned later, as I'm like deeper into my career. But if I would have really felt that and known that earlier on, I feel like I would have had a little more fun and taken some more challenging tasks and things, and just known that it was all going to work out.
So it's anti-imposter syndrome. That's what it sounds to me like. Just quite the opposite, which is really not the message that most people tell themselves. I think more people tell themselves, I'm not capable of doing this. This will never work out. I'll never get that story in the magazine. That brand will never call me.